Sean Kingston's last 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, those are officially over. But honestly, fading out of the spotlight is the least of his problems right now. He's currently facing up to 10 years in prison. And the wildest part? He's not going down alone. His mom is caught up in it too.
Well, Christy and Janice, we have just learned that this is the home of singer and producer Sean Kingston. We are standing right off of Griffin Road and 178th Avenue. Off in the distance there, we were watching as these deputies were initially standing outside of the home, but in the last 15 minutes or so, I can tell you that they have now moved inside.
It all started last year when the feds showed up heavy. We're talking a full-blown federal raid at Sean's mansion. They didn't just knock, they came in ready. Inside, they found enough evidence to arrest both Sean and his mom on the spot. Since then, it's been downhill fast. What's crazy is that Sean's own actions are what dragged his mom into this mess. Now they're both dealing with serious federal charges. And if things don't go their way in court, they could be locked up for nearly a decade. Fame can disappear quick, but the consequences? Those stick around way longer.
In a complaint we obtained from the Borough Clerk of Courts, we learned that a company by the name of Ver Entertainment alleges that Kingston partially paid for a 232-inch television and entertainment system, but following the installation, never paid for that product in full, allegedly. The complaint also goes on to allege Kingston used his name and celebrity status to scam people out of products and services, never paying for them. Well, I just spoke with the attorney, Dennis Card, who represents Ver Entertainment. Here's what he told me.
He has basically a sales pitch that he goes through to defraud people. He induces them into giving them really expensive things. We know that our property is inside this house right here. So as soon as the raid takes place, we're going to have a crew of people in there to deassemble it and take it back to its rightful owner.
But at this time, the complaint alleges he could be facing charges that include fraud and breach of contract.
This isn't the first time, or the second, or even the third time that Sean Kingston's been accused of pulling the exact same scam. And yeah, it's also not his first trip to court for fraud. You'd think he'd learn, but nope. Anyway, we'll get to all that mess a bit later in the video. Let's talk about this time. So during the recent raid, Sean wasn't even home. Dude was MIA. His mom was the only one there, and she ended up getting arrested on the spot. Imagine chilling somewhere stuffing your face with blueberry muffins and Twinkies, while your mom's getting cuffed and thrown in the back of a cop car on live TV. That's wild. Authorities confirmed that Sean Kingston's mom was taken into custody for fraud and theft. Not so mama-like now, huh? Of course, Sean ran to Instagram to do some damage control again. He posted something like, "People love negative energy. I'm good, and so is my mom. My lawyers are handling it all." Okay, bro, sure. But if I'm Sean's mom, I'm looking at him like Mr. Krabs. Completely done. This isn't new. He's been flexing stuff he can't actually afford. Saying he owns jewelry. Turns out he never paid for it. He even wrote $300,000 worth of bad checks to try and stunt.
Sean Kingston flexes things he can't afford.
You got one Cuban, got another Cuban. That's saying I own jewelry. Why I still got it then?
Turns out he never paid for these. He also bought $300,000 worth of jewelry with bounced checks. Yikes. And when he was asked about it, well, he just blamed the store.
These people they are very, very money hungry, and they only look at clients as a dollar sign, and that's not right.
And if that wasn't enough, he did it again. This time he bought a $46,000 Rolex, but only paid for half of it. It seems like some people just never learn.
Of course, the totally innocent Sean Kingston ended up getting arrested and hit with a $45,000 bail. He ended up pleading out to the charge like it was no big deal. What's wild is that he actually had plenty of time to get his act together before the feds came knocking. But instead, he kept getting involved in dumb little scams. He had time to stop, time to keep his mom out of it. But nope. And every time he got caught doing something shady, you'd think he'd chill. But instead, he'd just brush it off, deny it all on social media, and go find his next target. Rinse and repeat. Again and again. It became a whole cycle. Eventually, he scammed so many people that he ran out of new ones to trick. And that's when the feds had to finally step in and shut it all down. Once the trial kicked off, things really got exposed. Text messages, receipts, everything came out. And those messages, they showed exactly how Sean dragged his mom into the whole mess. And the craziest part? She was trying to warn him, telling him not to do it. But he didn't listen. Now his mom, Janice Turner, is facing charges too. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and more.
Alongside his mother, Janice Turner, also charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and more.
You didn't need to run like that.
We heard from Turner herself in court. We heard from case agents from several victims who claimed they were all swindled out of high-dollar luxury goods. Things like this colossal TV, a bulletproof Cadillac Escalade, even hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of watches from jewelers, and then given phony wire transfer receipts to allegedly try and convince them that they'd been paid. The items all seized in a raid on their Southwest Ranch's home. In closing arguments, federal prosecutors shared dozens of text messages between mother and son as proof. Specifically, mom worried he had no money for all these jewelers, writing, "What's up with you and all this jewelry, bro? Focus on your craft," according to prosecutors. He responds in another message, "Mother, you don't listen to me, and I told you to make a fake receipt." She says, "Please screenshot and send it to him." The defense saying that some of the payments were made, some of the goods were given back, but prosecutors are arguing that doesn't change that this happened. There are 33 fake receipts of wire transfers. We're going to wait and hear what that jury says. It's got to be unanimous.
I can't even begin to wrap my head around this. This is some seriously odd behavior. Like, if you don't have the money to pay people, why even take the stuff in the first place? Why keep buying luxury items when you know you can't afford them? Yo, this man was out here recklessly spending money he didn't even have. Like, he literally bought a $100,000 TV, a whole six-figure television, bro. Look, I can understand falling behind on your bills, stuff like rent, water, electricity, real-life essentials. But you're falling behind on jewelry. On a $100,000 TV? Come on, that's beyond ridiculous. He was buying things he knew he couldn't afford and still going through with it. And on top of that, he had his mom fake wire transfers and receipts to make it look like the stuff was paid for. So they'd hand it over, and then, boom, he disappears with it. Bro, that's just straight up trifling. And now, every single person we mentioned earlier in this video, they showed up in court, and they're ready to testify.
Right now at 5:30, rapper and singer Sean Kingston back in court today for day 3 of his federal fraud trial.
And more of Kingston's victims are taking the stand today, describing how they say they lost money in various business dealings with him. Local 10's Roy Ramos is joining us live in Fort Lauderdale tonight with the latest from the courtroom. Roy?
Christy and Louie, today we got a chance to hear from a car salesman, a luxury watch salesman who say they were both duped by Kingston and his mother when they were provided fake wire transfer receipts and never paid for their products. About what happened in court today? Singer Keshawn Anderson, better known by his stage name as Sean Kingston, and his mother, Janice Turner, back in the downtown Fort Lauderdale federal courthouse for day 3 of their trial. The two now facing multiple federal wire fraud charges, prosecutors say, stem from allegations the pair would falsify payment documents as a way of defrauding businesses and people out of luxury items like $115,000 colossal TV, high-priced watches, and vehicles. Wednesday, the government calling car salesman Andre Bush to testify, who claims to have met with Kingston at his Southwest Ranch's rental home to sell him a Cadillac Escalade. Bush testifying he was given a fake wire transfer receipt and never received the funds, but when he attempted to take the luxury SUV back to the dealership, he said Kingston became aggravated and refused to release it. Only after receiving a down payment of $20,000 was the vehicle left at the home. The defense arguing multiple payments were made at the dealership totaling $70,000, and because the SUV was ultimately taken back to the dealer when his home was raided by Broward Sheriff deputies, Kingston was the only one who lost in the deal. A luxury watch salesman from Mazal Jewelers testifying he released a $285,000 watch similar to this one when he said he was promised future celebrity clients. It was only after that salesman, too, allegedly received a fake wire transfer receipt, he said, he realized he was being scammed.
He was obviously found guilty, but catch this. Apparently, he broke down in court when the verdict came in. Yeah, tears, emotions, the whole thing. Now here's the strange part. Sean Kingston was allowed to go home and wait for sentencing. But his mom? She was taken straight into custody. No explanation, no second chance. She was just gone. And to this day, it's still not clear why. As the officers were escorting her out, Sean turned to them and said, "Protect my mother." But let's be real for a second, bro. It's not their job to protect your mom. It was yours. And you failed. You put her in that position. You're the reason she's facing 10 years behind bars. And then, right after court, you hop on Instagram talking about, "Lately, they've been trying to break me on the daily." Really? While your mom is sitting in a cold concrete cell, you're out here posting like you're the victim? And it gets worse. If you look at the bottom corner of his IG post, there it is. A promo for his new song. Yeah, while his mama's rotting in a cell, Sean Kingston is out here promoting music. You gotta be a special kind of messed up for that. You caused this. She's in her 50s, maybe even 60s. You really think your mom could survive a decade in prison? She could die in there, bro, and you're dropping music like it's a party. Don't be like Sean Kingston. Seriously, this dude is beyond ridiculous. Anyway, let me know in the comments, do you think Sean Kingston deserves the blame for what happened to his mom? Is 10 years fair? Too much? Too little?